Back after that Europa League exit to book a place in the FA Cup final, which of course will be against Manchester City. Let's get some reaction now from the United camp. We'll hear from Ten Hag in a moment, but first, David De Gea.
I know it's been a difficult week. What does a win like this do for everyone? Because we saw you guys coming in and everyone celebrating. It was almost as if this was the final.
Of course, it's always difficult to be in the finals, especially FA Cups, and always difficult. We came from a bad result on Thursday, so we came back today. We come back here and do what we did today. It's great for the team. It shows like we can be in finals and play against good teams. So now we have to keep going. We have another big game on Thursday, so we have to go back, recovery, and go again.
And as you said, a Manchester derby in the final, it rarely gets better than this. We know how strong Man City are. Are you guys ready to face them?
Yes, it's still a long way until the final, but of course, City is one of the best teams in Europe, in the world. We all know, but we show already. We play at Old Trafford with them, so we have to finish top 4 first. We have some big games coming, and then be really focused and prepare the final as best as we can.
Now for the rest of the season, what's the ideal finish for you?
Well, it's all about getting in the Champions League and getting in the top 4, and that's going to be a fight as well, because we have a margin, but we have many games to play, and we know every game is tough. Every game is a fight, and yeah, today we have seen you have to be ready for every game to dominate opponents. It's not so easy in the Premier League, so yeah, that's what we have to do. Get prepared for it, fight in every game, get the points in, get into the top 4, and then we can focus on the FA Cup.
Erik, congratulations again, and thank you, Wild.
Alsjeblieft.
I tried.
Alexis delighted, of course, and Manchester United through to the final. You said Brighton were going to win this.
Yes.
What happened?
I was siding with the bookies.
Right.
What happened? Well, what happened was they gave themselves a great platform with the performance up until that final third. I don't apologise for harping on, but I did in a live show about the youngster they were missing, who is a terrific talent, Evan Ferguson, a teenager from Ireland, who really has come onto the scene this season, and he has a handful. Now, he picked up a bad injury at Chelsea last week during the game, and Danny Welbeck has been an able replacement at times this season. But there's no doubt he was a miss, because in this area here, this is where it all fell down for Brighton. A lot of their play, for those that saw the game, and for those that didn't, a lot of their play building up to the penalty box was far superior to Manchester United's on the day, but where it wasn't superior was in this key area. And if you're not taking the chances of your good build-up play, there's a chance of a sucker punch, or there's a chance that it goes all the way like it did to extra time and penalties, and then we're in the lottery scenario. So Brighton can't feel sorry for themselves. It's, they can blame themselves, because ultimately it's about putting the ball in the back of the net. But United, they're coming off a bad week. They did not play great again, but I agree with Ten Hag and what he says. They've got some guts about them for once. And they hung in there, and the penalties were superb. But, Brighton might not have a better chance of getting to a cup final, but they squandered it in the final third of the field where it really mattered.
It was just had details, wasn't it? In the attack for Brighton, they just didn't click.
Yeah, and while, yes, Ferguson was a miss, I thought you didn't see enough of Marsh, you certainly didn't see enough of Mitoma, who've been absolutely fantastic all season themselves. And credit to Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who played up against Mitoma and sat in and defended really well against him, didn't allow him any kind of space, any kind of freedom to weave as he so often does. To that point, I thought United defensively did really well. As the game went on and they realised that Brighton didn't pose the kind of attacking threat that you would normally think, that allowed them to grow a little bit more confident in the back, take more chances, press in the midfield, and once they won the ball, that long ball forward, that counter-attack was always on, and they looked more threatening in all honesty, and through the course of not just 90 but 120 minutes, I think Sanchez had to make more big saves than David De Gea did.
But looking at the key protagonists now between now and the end of the season, Rashford is back fit again. That has to remain if they're going to have a successful end to the season, because Anthony got the hook again. I think I heard Shaq says Martial touched the ball at one point during the first half. I mean, I hardly saw him. So he's but look, I don't think it's taken the last couple of games to know that Martial isn't the answer. They sent him off to Sevilla on loan. He hardly kicked the ball there. He's came back. He's just not been good enough and consistent enough. So that puts more pressure on others between now and the end of the year. And whilst it wasn't a scintillating game from Marcus Rashford, at least he was an out ball for them over the top. Whereas Anthony had a couple of strikes at goal, but in my opinion, this player just continues to flatter to deceive.
I thought what was good for Manchester United as well is having Bruno Fernandes back. He, of course, missed the game against Sevilla in the Europa League and it told. Also having Christian Eriksen being able to sit a little bit deeper. Manchester United, all of a sudden, between Casemiro and Eriksen, had passing from deep in midfield. And I thought, as a result, United looked a whole lot better today than they did against Sevilla, with just that one tweak.
David De Gea making amends? What happened midweek?
Yeah, I thought he came up with some very big saves from Manchester United. This one I thought was routine from McAllister. But good to get that early save in, given what happened against Sevilla. This strike here from Enciso late on, I thought this was simply outstanding. Now, from the replay, you can tell he sees this all the way. But Enciso hits this with some venom. And that really is an incredible reaction. Throughout, I thought he looked comfortable with what was asked of him, didn't take any of the silly chances that we saw in midweek, and I think those mistakes were playing on his mind just in terms of his passing choices, when he decided to go short or when, and this happened more times than not, he just decided to kick it long.
I don't think Brighton asked enough of him. I think there was the odd one that we saw. Welbeck missed a header from a set, but again it was a set piece, and it was a good chance he got away from his marker Martial. But I just don't... I'm surprised by all their possession, Brighton, that they did not create more clear chances than what they did. And that's going to be something that they look at. And I think from United's point of view, can they give up that much control of a game with no Martinez at the back and no Varane, and defend against Man City in the final and expect to get away with that kind of performance? I don't think that'll work. Man City would have to have a heck of an off day at the office, the way they're playing at the moment, for Man United to give up that territory. We know they have to give up some against City, but they gave up a lot against Brighton, only for Brighton to falter in the final third. That's unlikely to happen in the final. So I think Ten Hag knows that. He knows that, yeah, the top four is big for them, but they need to really up the game for the final, otherwise it could get messy.
To Shaka's point, obviously we just saw one penalty missed in the shootout. The quality was really high, actually.
I know, surprisingly.
Solly March, was he distracted by David De Gea just going early the right way? Would he have noticed that?
I don't know. I think he's got his head down.
Right.
Let's have a look again. I think he's got his head down. I think he's made his mind up. He's slewing it across the goalkeeper. He's going to go for a little bit of height, because if the keeper then guesses the right way, and we saw a few of these penalties which were brilliant in the circumstances and under that pressure of the moment. We saw a few times the keeper went the right way, but at least 3 or 4 players went with just enough height. When the keeper dived, they couldn't get up. That raises the risk factor of skying it over the bar. It just does. So you're now aiming for an area that's between a goalkeeper diving and the bar.
Right.
That shrinks it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and then you're running up and it's in your head. I got to hit that mark. I got to get it there. And people at home will be going, how can you hit a penalty over like that? It only takes you to lean back a little bit with that much power, and it can look like a really bad penalty.
The thing is, from a goalkeeping perspective, you have 5 kickers, or in this case, it goes to 7. But 2, maybe 3 of those take penalties during the course of a season. The others aren't expecting to take penalties, and while they might be good players and confident strikers of the ball, when that pressure is on in that circumstance, that's a tough ask for sometimes the best of players. Now, Solly March is not expecting to take a penalty at any point during the course of a season. And while, yes, he has his head down, in his peripheral vision, you can see that bright yellow shirt of David De Gea, knows he wants to go to his right, De Gea's left. and just sees De Gea take that slight hop and thinks, well, I need to hit it a little bit harder now, just to make, because he's figured out which side I'm going for. I'm not going to change sides. I'm going to hit it a little harder, or I'm going to hit it just a little bit higher, and everything coming together, you lift it, 10 yards over the crossbar, and that's the pressure and just lack of experience of just taking penalties.
So you can always go back in the changing room, Solly Marks, and blame the goalie.
Yeah, exactly.
Blame Sanchez and say, well, he should have saved
Sanchez
one.
should have saved the Saviso.
That's what you all do anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It was a game really of not too many notable moments, apart from in our pre-match coverage of Alexis and Nedum getting done by the sprinklers. And look at Nedum here. No thought whatsoever for Alexis. Right, he's off. That's it. He's done.
And it kind of slows down to make sure she gets wet.
Kind of what, like blocks her off.
A little bit of blocking.
So, of course, Alexis and Nedum will be pitch side once again for the FA Cup final, which will take place on June the 3rd. Manchester City against Manchester United.